Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to click below to subscribe and share.
It's not just about the photograph, it's the outdoor experience. Keep in mind everything that you need to know about photography. F-stop, shutter speed, lens selection. Nice photo. I've got beautiful light now. Oh my God. I'm your host, Doug Gardner, and your wild photo adventure starts now. The world is such an amazing place, and if you strip away all the bricks and mortar, the technology, people, cars, and cell phones, you're left with all that's purely natural. Beautiful, vast landscapes and abundant wildlife cover our earth, and it's my job as a wildlife photographer to capture the natural world and share it with others. Well, it's been a great year, and Wild Photo Adventures is now in its third televised season, and thanks to you, it's been a tremendous success. But that success doesn't come without a price. Let's take a look back behind the scenes of the production of the show and the men and women that make it all happen. The thing that makes the show so unique, I would say, is that I'm introducing folks to the outdoors and teaching people exactly what they need to know to get great photographs in new and creative ways. Well, if I had to classify the show, I would probably call it a how-to/reality/travel show. And even though nature photography is my career, from day one, it's been my goal to share with folks places and experiences that anyone can enjoy, regardless of how much time or money you have. Adventures that you and the family could enjoy over a weekend. Well, ultimately, as a photographer, my goal is to come away from each trip with beautiful images that tell a story. But as host and producer of the show, my responsibility is to lead the viewer to great locations and subjects and help them get a better understanding on how to photograph the natural world. However, behind the scenes, I wear many hats. I'm the host producer.
Is that tighten up?
I'd go in a little bit. I would take a little bit of headroom on. Director. Cameraman. Editor. And the manager for all the trips. Well, most people really don't understand. They think we have this huge production crew, when in reality, it's a very small crew, but a very talented crew. Most of the time, the crew and cast is between 2 and 5 people total. Being that we're small, that's good. It allows us to be more mobile, especially when it comes to traveling. It also allows us to move quickly and take advantage of photographic opportunities that only last a few brief moments. All right, cut. Oh, whoa, David.
I'm senior camera operator, and I shoot the bulk of the show. My job is to shoot Doug's dialogue as well as the portraits of the animals. I also have to keep my eyes open for the unexpected, and believe me, it does happen.
You know what's gonna happen, don't you? A flock of 12 swans are gonna come and lock wings and land right behind you.
Oh man, this is a lot easier for them younger guys. But I wouldn't trade this job for nothing in the world.
My job is second camera, shooting B-roll stuff, which we use for transitions between scenes, and also still shots that we use to promote the show.
So running the camera and editing are not my only responsibilities on the show. I'm usually the one that has to deal with technical issues. When you're on the road, there's usually a camera that doesn't work, or a computer or a hard drive that has issues. And you've heard the saying, if something can go wrong, it will. It usually does.
I would definitely say that I'm extremely blessed to be surrounded by such talented and professional crew members. You know, each person brings to the table something unique, and that adds a lot of variety to the show. I've been friends with these guys for many, many years, but it's David that I probably shot with the most over that time frame. He's been a huge asset to the show since day one for a number of different reasons. Number one, he's been a wildlife photographer all his life, and that passion for it really shows through in his work. Number two, it's like the man can read my mind. When we step into a situation, he knows exactly what I'm looking for, and a lot of times I'll catch myself saying, David, be sure you get a shot of that. 9 times out of 10, he's already done it. However, the crew and I don't always see eye to eye. I guess you'd say we agree to disagree. And at the end of the day, you know, we get it done and we're all still friends. There's no way this exposure can be right. My face has got to be black. I don't believe it. Anyway, okay, here we go. We're gonna have to pull all this equipment out again.
And go back over.
Go back over. We got to test all the equipment over, every bit of it, because everything we shot yesterday afternoon is not gonna work. I would probably have to say that the number one question I get is, how do you decide what each show is going to be about each week, or where are you going to shoot it? For the most part, I take the crew to locations either I've already been to and really like, or locations that I've always wanted to go to. For the most part, I try to keep it real for the average photographer who doesn't have a lot of money to travel to the ends of the earth just to photograph. You know, the continental U.S. has such a wide variety of wildlife and landscapes that I wanted to share that obtainable aspect with others. Well, that's where the real challenge begins. Getting great photographs of an animal while I'm by myself is tough enough. When you add 2, 3, even 4 more people to a scene, it gets really tough. You know, the crew, they've got to capture video and audio of the same subject that I'm photographing, and I'm having to talk to the camera as well as communicate with the crew at the same time. And a lot of times, the wildlife just will not tolerate that.
Like a lot of TV productions, we have a limited budget, limited time to get the show done. But I think all in all, we've been fairly fortunate, you might say, with weather and wildlife cooperation. Sometimes it takes perseverance and, you know, coming back another day, but usually we allow enough time for a few weather delays, and we always seem to get it in the can before we go home. So far, so good.
Why'd you ask me that? For me personally, the hardest thing about the show would have to be being gone from my family so much. You know, it's missing my son's first words, or when my 4-year-old daughter calls me on the phone and says, "Daddy, why aren't you going to be home for Father's Day?" You know, or hearing my wife's voice over the phone. You know, she's being so supportive of everything I'm doing. You know, when I know she's the one that's hurting the most, those are the things that just, you know, make it really tough on me. I know I was supposed to be home tomorrow, but we're not going to be able to make it there. We got to go to Colorado. Yeah, I know it's Father's Day, darling. Look here, Daddy will be home soon. We got to finish the show, okay? All right, sweetie. Daddy loves you. Night-night. As for the show itself, I would have to say the hardest part would be keeping the crew awake or keeping their bellies full. Or even keeping up with Eric's reading glasses.
Where's my glasses now? They're gone.
Oh gosh.
Did you move?
Mm-mm.
No, seriously. It's no one thing that's harder than the other. It's really an accumulation of constant challenges that make production an absolute nightmare sometimes. Really, it's, you know, a constant, exhausting grind. Usually starting the day at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and not getting in the bed till 12, 1 o'clock at night. You know, it's constant problems. It's freaky weather, it's animals not cooperating, it's dealing with permits, vehicle problems, plane delays, you name it, it happens. Here it is, 11:30, and we got 2 or 3 more hours to go before we can even get to a hotel room. So we're downloading footage and photographs from the day, and get a few hours of sleep, get up tomorrow morning and do it all over again. We've been in Kansas City all of 2 hours already, and we've checked in our hotel and have decided to check out of the hotel. And hey, where are we heading, Brian? Texas? Yeah. Heading to Texas. So we didn't even get to spend a night in Kansas, and we already got some vehicle issues.
David and I have to deal with lighting and, you know, delays and wildlife not cooperating or not showing up or not doing what we think they are. But the stress really falls mainly on Doug's shoulders, who's, you know, orchestrated the whole production, and if something doesn't go right, he's just, he's the one that has to carry it all out. So we all try and help him as much as we can, just, deal with the situation and come up with some kind of solution.
Being that we got lousy weather, looks like it's gonna be most of the day today, I think maybe we can shoot on up north, try to find an area where it's not raining with some kind of background and get some interviews done, possibly scout for the next 2 days, which we're supposed to have good weather, I think. The planning for a show, that's difficult. We're dealing with nature. You never know what's around the next corner or how an animal's going to react, and so it's impossible to script a show. Being able to organize my thoughts on the fly and deliver the goods on camera in an informative way, it's difficult for me. Really, I struggle with it sometimes. At the same time, I'm having to think about video camera angles as well as how to get the best photograph. It's tough. Leave it on for now. Film birds, let me think what I'm gonna say. Okay. All right, you ready? I'm gonna drop a closing. You can see them good, right? And, all right, you ready? And kind of slowed down a little bit. That's not the way I wanna say this. Hold on, guys, just keep rolling.
Probably the hardest part about this whole thing is getting up out the bed in the morning. As far as filming goes, I think the most difficult part is trying to get the same angle with the video camera that Doug has with the still camera. That part really gets tough at times. A lot of times, I've got to move, I got to lay down on the ground, and at times shoot over Doug's shoulder. And sometimes it just doesn't happen because the critters move. Most of the time, we do get the shot. But there are those times when things are so tight, it's just not going to happen. Remember, this is not a studio. We're out in the woods, there are trees, vegetation gets in the way, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
So Doug, what's happening? Trying to get started this morning. Had a rough week. What we planned to do in a whole week, the weather's forcing us to do in 2 days. So
Is that what that is in that cup? A cup of Get Started?
that's a cup of Get Start. Double lid.
Oh, I would definitely say that production of this show is stressful. For me, it's extremely stressful. Not every situation lends itself to a great photograph. Your subject may run off, you may have horrible light, you may have a bad background. And many times I've planned a show, got on location, and had to completely change the theme of the show. And every time that happens, my stress level just inches up that much more, because I know, regardless, I got to make this show happen.
I would have to say, Doug is a perfectionist.
Let me hear.
Go ahead.
Sounds like Doug and Dave are going to make us do all of this again, unfortunately, for the 50th time.
Now that's nice. That's real nice.
All right.
But that first part, I think we got to do that
Yeah.
over again.
If Doug's not satisfied, we have to do this thing over and over again till we get it right. But the funny thing is, sometimes while we're trying to get it right, the subject moves. A lot of time, Doug gets hyper, and I do mean hyper. Got to calm him down. I'll just have to tell him, Doug, calm down, relax. Doug, relax. It'll get better. And as usual, it does.
In general, I feel like people think, I have the best job in the world and that it's all fun and games. And I'd have to respond to that by saying, yes, I feel like I do have the best job in the world, but it's not as it appears. It's a tremendous amount of work, and it's certainly nothing glamorous. It's biting flies and mosquitoes and snakes and alligators and mud and muck and bad weather. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding, but it's very mentally and physically tasking as well.
The most intense moment I've had this year is definitely the storm chasing episode, where we actually had to drive through the core of a storm. Rain, dark, skies cloudy, hail coming down, the van's shaking, and our guide Brian is telling us that we've got to drive through it, and he's only done this a couple of times. So I'm back there looking in my monitor, and I can see this blank look on his face, and I knew this was serious. Brian got us through fine, and it is definitely a moment I'll never forget.
I would have to say, apart from the wildlife and the photography, the most enjoyable part of the show for me would be all the funny and unexpected things that happen.
You got some high quality coffee there, Brian?
It's a little thick.
All right, here I go. That's all I can find. I mean, it's all we got. No, let me try. Let's two-handed. Ready? All right. Okay, go ahead. Wait a minute. I don't want to hit your hand. All right. Okay, let's try it now.
It's going. Oh, you beat me with the shoelace.
Ooh, I found one. There you go, grab that. All right.
Woo! There it is. Watch Mike. I'm Doug Gardner. And thank you for joining me on another edition of Wild Photo Adventures.
The map mounts how much help? Yeah.
Well, we need to get it to Texas. That helps.
Well, oh yeah. You know we've been missing that green head.
I need you to move over there, and you back there come up here. Thank you. Okay, come on, come.
Where's my camera body?
In your truck?
No, it's been in here the whole trip.
No. You're riding with it.
Found it.
And look at that. Whoa, right where I left it.
David, how was your first float plane flight?
Don't answer that. After about the second pass, it was about the little bag. I know I was getting ready. It was close.
I think we really have a cohesive crew. You know, we get along good together. We have a lot of fun. We pick at each other. We just have a good time. You know, Eric is an exceptional photographer and videographer. He has an eye. He can find some subjects. Well, one day we were doing an interview, and we given Eric one of the digital SLRs. And while Eric was filming, I noticed the camera in vertical position. Mind you, he's doing video. And when Eric realized what he was doing, he started laughing, and all of us, we just got a kick out of that. But I tell you, he'll never live that one down.
Oh, shut up. Same guy that does vertical video. Well, you know, it's a different deal.
And then there's the interesting people we meet on the road. Sometimes that's the real wildlife.
I know that's Sun House, right?
So imagine this. I'm standing on this pristine beach. The weather is beautiful. There's not another person for miles. The only sound I hear is the ocean waves and the wind. I'm standing there photographing wild black stallions on the sand dunes. And then literally, out of nowhere, appears the Gypsy Queen. I guess it was 4 years ago when I started cultivating the idea for this show. You know, part of me was saying, yes, this is a great idea and it's going to work. The other part of me was saying, Doug, have you lost your mind? Well, here we are in season 3, and it's been a tremendous success. But I really underestimated just how much work was involved in producing these shows.
David and I have known each other for a long time, and I met Doug on the lake. I think we were doing an osprey shoot, and Doug had just come back from Desert Storm, and I think he was 22 or 23 years old, and I just, I can't believe how far he has come in such a short period of time as a photographer. And I've never actually met anybody else who is so forward moving, and I guess maybe you might call it ambitious, but I think it's just, most of us do like 2 or 3 steps forward and one or 2 back, and this guy is just going forward, marching forward all the time. His career just seems to go forward and forward.
As far as being part of this show, this is most definitely a dream come true. I get to travel places I would probably never go to. And the reality is I've always enjoyed photography. I've been doing this thing, I guess, since I was about 21 years old. And between photography and videography, I'm not sure which one I enjoy the most. But it is truly, truly a heck of a job.
Well, I can tell you this much. I didn't realize how much work went into making these things, but it's been really interesting watching the crew run around and try and tackle all the different obstacles and challenges that we're faced. But it's been fun, and I definitely feel privileged to have the opportunity to do this.
Well, as you've seen, the production of this show is a huge undertaking, and I hope you go away with a greater appreciation for the dedicated people that help make this show possible. Thank you for joining me. I'm Doug Gardner for Wild Photo Adventures.
That's a wrap. It's over. Gotta go home. Home.
Do we really need to do this?
Doug, you're not getting any younger. Gotta cover up those wrinkles.
Tell you what, when you get done with this, would you go get lunch for everybody?
Sure. Okay.
She gone? Yeah, she's gone. You sure she's gone? She's gone. Okay, throw me that towel. I don't want this crap on my face. All right, let's get this done before she gets back. Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to click below to subscribe and share.